Tonight's episode, photo finish.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Every Second Matters. We do this every second day of each month, and this started back in 2013. Concept was to do something on the second day of each month to keep a level of awareness of our Second Amendment. At times it's easy to get a bunch of people gathered, at other times it's difficult. This month there's just a couple of us showing up because everything's going so good with Second Amendment. Got Makojo's out there. He's coming in from very tip of Seattle, northwest portion of the country. And then we got Kingpin, who lives down the very tip of Florida. So we have both ends of the extreme of the country. I'm right in the middle in Kansas. So worked out pretty well geographically this month. All right, I don't script this show. I just open up a room. I invite quite a few people via emails. So, we got emails out there. And then there's, I've got some other links out there as well. So, nobody's interested in Second Amendment anymore now that it's over. It's pretty much in the bank, I guess. We're done. Just for S&G, Poops and Laughs, we've got this link at the bottom, which is scrolling by. And you can click on, well, you can't click on it because the duck doesn't have that kind of technology, but you can read that link to yourself, memorize it, and then write it into a browser URL, or as in a browser window. How would you call it? The address bar. And then head over to that site, and you can see some of the things that are happening over there. Otherwise, super awkward and boring. The hell? I thought people would show up because of the Second Matters tradition and all the stuff that's happening. Walt chickened out, we know that, because he's trying to psyops everybody or something. Kingpin is insisting on working. I don't know what Makojo's doing. Blame him for something. Of course, where's Clover? He had the link. He's not around. Start just calling out people that ain't 2A. Pretty much if they're not here, they ain't 2A anymore. So there you go, Barbecue. Remember, he used to be 2A. Smeggy, Skippy. What the hell was that kid's name? That kid used to be 2A. I think that's about it. Are we done? This is the worst episode ever. You know what's happening right now? Is Shannon has this up on the big screen. She's just going nuts with this one. Bloomberg gives her $50 it's like the opposite of a super chat. Every time one of these things flops. Oh, these have flopped before. This one's flopping big time. This is like you pour a bunch of pancake syrup out onto the, pancake batter out onto a grill, and then you figure out that the grill ain't on. So all you're doing is cleaning up pancake batter. That's pretty much what's happening right here. Not just you're cleaning up pancake batter, but you were really thinking about eating a pancake right then. You're like, you know what would be good? An actual pancake, and not just another task you have to clean up. And it was some kind of sticky honey-based pancake batter, so it got all over everything, and then you have to really clean it off. Really gross. So that's what this show is. The uncooked batter of Second Amendment, getting all over everything. And then it's sort of heated up, so now it's started cooking in there, but not turning into a pancake, just making everything really bad, everything really gross. All right, well, I guess I don't even think I can be getting corked. It's too early in the day to be getting corked. Oh, look at guilted this guy into coming in. He's muted. It's a shame being in here.
What's up?
Is it my copyrighted? Bringing in your little Star Wars doll?
Why would you be copyrighted?
It's the same as music, except visual. No, I don't know. So there was no way to rewind live, so 6 minutes of me rambling here, everybody's going to have to deal with, or this will be a 9-minute show and it'll just be over. But did I do this too early in the day? What's up with this? Nobody showed up. All we got is Makojo and Kingpin. They have to be here under contract obligation, so.
Well, I thought that it started at 4, then that or my time, so that's
5 minutes ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, how long have you? Yeah, you've been live about 5 minutes. So yeah, I mean, you started on time. I don't understand your question. Mel, I don't think you're. I mean, it's got to get like pushed out and promoted out, and I haven't done that yet. I was fixing to. So
Well, I'm talking people joining. I don't care about the coverage. People are going to watch it if they're going to watch it. I don't think anybody subscribes to this channel, but I'm just thinking people that chat. I mean, I send it out to the same list as I always send it out to.
yeah,
But anyway, yeah, I never know. I mean, I've tried it in the evening. I've tried it in the day. I didn't want to cork everybody in the night. So,
well,
I guess-
there's been people jump in before. Tony's jumped in some months, and dang it,
yeah, see, exactly.
Jeff
Maybe
and
one or two
Jeff
people.
and Jeff has jumped in, and Charlie's jumped in. There's been several people that's jumped in. So
I mean, Second Amendment advocacy is over. It's done. It's done.
yeah, I agree. You can't make any money doing it. So
Well, that's been a long time, but now it's just over completely. No, I'm just saying it's impossible to figure. At least I haven't been able to figure out a time to get like a round table of people. Remember back in the day, there was this idea for a thing where before gun rights policy, creators, content creators, whatnot, would get together and collaborate and learn. You know, imagine if that happened here. I don't know, the first of each month, because trying to do that every Tuesday didn't work out. Trying to do that
Right.
on a regular basis didn't work, but on every other, every month, and then do it on the second is pretty easy to remember. But just never caught on. Well, this guy now he's showing up. I guess he's 2A.
I try to be at least, copy other people do what they do.
I figure it's like picking up a rock, and then like the sun is 2A. You pick up the rock, which everybody's hiding under, and then when the 2A hits them, they go running. They go scurrying. Then a couple of them are either too slow or they're ready for the sun. They're like, all right, I'm ready for the sun. Let's go.
Mhm.
No, I don't know. I don't know. You know me. I'm not really interested in following the news. There's all kinds of stuff. We could lay it in on Texas. What's up with Texas being fake? You just do all this stuff just to get everybody's attention. Texas is a distraction.
yeah, it's a distraction. Yeah, I know. I mean, I made it all up. I made it all up to get views and stuff.
I just can't figure out how
Suckers.
you had all the ability, the resources, and you had it on all these different politicians to go along with your little scheme to get views. But then you could have just said, go ahead and vote for it. But I guess it was better views to just leave it dangling.
Of course.
But yeah, so there's that, which is the obvious low-hanging fruit, which you can't do nothing about until your governor quits being lazy. I figured he just didn't want to do it on Memorial Day because I figure that's kind of a D-bag move to be a D-bag on Memorial Day. Like, what kind of a asshole politician would do a douchebag move on Memorial Day weekend, right? Of all weekends to do something, of all holidays to disrespect, right? Your Texas governor's probably like, you know what, he can chill for a minute, right? We were talking about this somewhere in barbecues chat, maybe, that, unless it's like imminent or something, unless it's like, he has to do something or else, I could see him saying, hey, I'm going to wait a minute. And then isn't he going to do it with like some ado, sign it with 3 pens and give them to people or something? Like, he might be just getting ready for that, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things at play, right? I mean, you got to realize most people they don't understand. They think like the second that it passes the House or the second that it passes the Senate, you can just sign it, and it's like, okay, there's several days of administrative process it's got to go to before it's prepared in a way that it gets on his desk, right? I mean,
Unless there's some crazy deadline or something where they're running it.
Yeah, there's policy and procedure and administrative things that go on with government. Otherwise, nothing would ever be official. You know what I mean? Because how would it's not certified? It's not, you know what I mean? So
sure. They're not like rushing it through. It's just in the process.
Yeah, I mean,
with all the other stuff that's in the pipe also.
Right. And you understand this, and there are folks that do, but the vast majority, that's what's been eye-opening about covering this process, is the vast majority of people that don't understand how the process works.
Well,
like,
hold on. It's not like, it ain't like there's a process either. I mean, there's a general process, and then it happens each time, and we watch it, and then we compare it to others. But you know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be variables and whatever, the circumstances. So each one's a little different, but we have to first learn what the general process should be and what it's supposed to be in Texas specifically. And then if it's following, because like I say, if it was something, I don't know, if it was timely, they would have grabbed that thing right from the Senate, ran it over to the governor. He would have grabbed from the car and signed it on the street ceremoniously, like if it was that kind of thing. But this is like they're just like we see. We're just not sure what the deal is, but it obviously isn't urgent.
Well,
Nobody's like rushing.
we also because we don't. I mean, it's rightfully so. I'm not faulting anybody for this, right? But we're glued in, hyper focused on 2A, right? And there's like hundreds, if not thousands, of bills and things that go on that make a state government work, and that was evident if you watched any of the floor debate, like when you mentioned it, even I think from the last time on the Senate, they went from passing that bill immediately, just bam, right into something else, right?
Not even blinking, like you couldn't even tell. Yeah.
Right. So there's several things I think that are at play. First of all, like I said, it wasn't prepared enough for him to sign until like Friday. By that point, you're staring down the barrel of a holiday weekend. Yes. And then the legislative session ended Monday. They had some shenanigans with Democrats walking out Sunday night over like a voting bill. Don't get me started on that because I don't know enough about it. And then it's pretty obvious that this is a fairly large, important piece of legislation. So their delay his delay in signing it is not because he doesn't want to sign it. It's because it's so important. He wanted to give it the proper party or media attention or whatever, right? So he's going to want all of those senators and representatives that helped pushed it, and he's probably going to want the Texas GOA there, and he'll probably going to want to do it at a range or something and make a spectacle out of it, right? And
that's what I figured.
And there's just so much going on with the end of the legislative session and the holiday that it's better to wait on that.
Is there a way to make three of us all small? We can only make us medium, I guess, or large. So I guess we talked about it now, but I think that's the low-hanging fruit for Every Second Matters. I just happen to be digging into this for the 2A History Project more, but the Silencer Freedom Act, Suppressor Freedom Act, whatever, I think that's an interesting thing. And then what was the third one that Texas got? You got suppressor freedom, you got constitutional carry going through, and then a third one that was gun related, I thought. He's muted. Barbecue's muted. Everybody's muted.
I don't know what the third one was. That's what we were talking about last night in the after chat.
Oh, he's got to refer to he's got like a service he uses for 2A stuff. He doesn't memorize all this stuff. He just has like a thing that watches the chat and then transcribes to him. He says he's got a connection issue with that service. So they're researching the answer to this question, and then he'll come back. He's going to use the guise of a phone call, quote unquote. That way, okay, here. I saw this one. I thought this one was pretty good. So I'm going to start leaving it as an overlay for a little while so people can look at it. But it goes, if requiring background checks for private gun sales would keep the bad guys away if requiring background checks for private gun sales would keep them away from bad guys, why don't we require background checks for private sales of crack? I like that. I guess logically or something, you don't make crack at a manufacturing plant and have a serial number on it, but you could put in fentanyl or one of those pill drugs that do have prescriptions or something, or you could you could look at that a couple of ways without being technically accurate. It still gives you the idea of why doesn't that apply? Why does it only apply? We got Tony jumping in. You're back, I'm guessing, back to New Jersey.
No, not at all. Actually, I'm on the road in North Carolina. I just came out of South Carolina.
Oh snap! You're still driving.
And I'm still driving. What I did was leave Missouri Monday morning, pretty much noon, drove to South Carolina, darn near Hilton Head, South Carolina, to visit my wife, who's been down there for 9 months taking care of her dad due to his medical issues. So I hadn't seen her since September of last year. So I decided, since I was in the neighborhood, Missouri, awesome. Since I was in the neighborhood of Missouri, South Carolina, New Jersey. So So I spent the day, and now I'm on my way to Jersey. But there's no way I can drive past Virginia without seeing my mom. So that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome, dude. That's very cool. I'm all about road trips, but I didn't have any idea that you had that situation going on. So that's cool.
So I put 2,446. I've driven it 46 hours.
Yeah. So you got a ways to go. So you're not even done yet. You're going to be able to do a pretty good review of that Jeep, I'm guessing.
Actually, I was doing a mini review on my next podcast, which is episode 82, Thoughts from My Head, aka Roadhead. Yes, that's going to be the name, episode 82, Roadhead. And I'm talking about
Awesome.
the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yeah, dude. I mean, talk about thing that is getting to be more mainstream, which is promoting civil rights advocacy, right? And you've got a unique civil rights advocacy situation that's been going on for half a decade or more. And then those places drop vehicles like gun manufacturers drop rifles because cars don't cost nothing for them to make, and it's worth better than any commercial, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, but I know it definitely is in the realm of things that could be done to have Jeep give the diversity shoot vehicle. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, I might just go ahead.
I'm just saying, maybe a review of that could get you whatever vehicle you do need or want.
Hey, to work for me. This is really, I mean, being a large dude, I did not think Jeep made anything that would fit me. When I paid for, my rental, I had a, what do you call those? SUV, mid-size SUV. Well, they tried to put me in a Subaru Outback. I don't know when a Subaru Outback became a mid-size SUV, but I almost needed the jaws of life to get me back out of it. And I'm like, I need something bigger. And he was like, well, I just have this Jeep Grand Cherokee that came back in. I'm like, I'll take it. He said, I'll do it for the same price. I was like, okay. It is a really nice vehicle, man. I've never ridden in one. I've only opened them up, as a locksmith. I've only popped the locks on them. But real nice riding vehicle, man.
Oh, dang. You brought that up, and it's something that I would definitely like to have a locksmith conversation with you, off subject from guns completely, but maybe in a prepping realm a little bit, but locksmithing nonetheless. I was a locksmith for a while when I was doing maintenance work. It was cheaper. Well, I could make money by being a locksmith, so I did. And I've just always been interested in it. So anytime you want to talk shop over there, that'd be cool. But not when you were talking about the rental thing. Again, I never did it specifically, but I thought about it really heavily because of what we were doing back in the day, doing some traveling, and the way we traveled in the vehicles that we had, we rented a lot. And that's one of the reasons I went with a van is because the rental costs, but you could get in, I don't know if you want to promote the company or not, but if you promote that company, because you've already been on a road trip with them, or if it's like a franchisee thing and you can get with the local place and how sort of is with Guns for Hire where they kind of sponsor you directly and they might be able to, better than having Jeep give you a vehicle, whenever you need a vehicle, you just got like an open credit card and they'll just say,
Hey, that would be great because, I mean, I rode with Gun Channels to the last Train and Learn event. And, you get more than one outlook on something. You drive around, you cross-promote, especially now when I'm leaving this Train and Learn event and everyone's cross-promoting each other.
try driving on just the driver's side two wheels instead of like a back wheels wheelie. Wait, am I breaking up or is he breaking up? I'm getting my little thing. I might be breaking up. I'll shut up.
It sounded weird for a second. I don't know. Am I breaking up?
So when do you guys tell me? I lost Tony.
Both of you sound okay to me.
Yeah,
Well, then I'll
Tony
shut
was
up.
breaking up a little bit earlier, but everything's fine now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm driving through North Carolina on 74. So 74? Yep, 74. So it might be uphill, downhill. I've not really driven this way much. When I dropped my wife off last year, I came to see my mom this way too. These are the only times I've driven this. Before I was stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I went a completely different way, to go to my mom's house from there.
You said you're in South Carolina?
I crossed over from South Carolina maybe 30, 40 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say South Carolina, everybody knows, is notorious for having nobody that knows how to work the internet. Not one person in the state. We're just giving shit to a dude that didn't jump in tonight. So, yeah, so many things to talk about there. So, Defense Dad is asking if you're going to Nebraska. Are you going to the Masada Youth thing with everybody from Polite Society?
Hopefully, I go to Nebraska. They were supposed to be having a meeting to determine whether they were going to pay for my flight out and
flight.
hotel and everything. And we also have to, flight out. And also, how are we going to promote it? I want to promote it a lot before the event, so people can be aware and get butts and seats. And I've already asked for a couple of companies to go out. So that whole thing is up in the air because they have a lot going on.
Oh, yeah. Y'all didn't let me mansplain, but I would have had a situation going where Charlie is with you right now. Charlie was at Chain of Train and Learn. Charlie goes with you to see the wife and back home real quick. So Charlie gets to drop back home. Then you guys book out to Nebraska. But yeah, that would have been a combination stagecoach 2A for E type of situation in Macon, right? That wouldn't have been too hard.
Yeah, right.
The industry could have floated that in a moment. 10 grand to each of you to pay bills, and then maybe another 10 grand to pay for hotels and gas and stuff. And for the price of like one magazine one magazine article spread thing, right? They could have had all that advocacy. And then you guys would have been hitting gun shops. So that's what I was about to start asking you, of course, after the fact. But you're flying to Nebraska, damn it. I was going to say, if you were driving in Nebraska, I was going to try to get with you so I could give you some ideas of stuff to stop at. But right now you're driving from Virginia to New Jersey. I guess if I looked at a map, I might be able to give you a couple of ideas. But what kind of time frame? Are you like just driving straight through, or are you meandering? Are you wandering?
Oh, no, I'm driving straight through. I only was going to take a week off. Tomorrow I was supposed to be at work. But I'm like, nope, I'm going to see my wife. I'll burn up 2 or 3 more vacation days. I haven't seen my mom in a while. I'm out. I'm going to stay out. But, my time is taken up with diversity shoots 2 a month. So I have to be careful with my time off. But I've figured my mom and my wife are worth it. So I'm just going to take those off, work harder for some overtime, maybe get some calm time to use for these diversity shoots. The thing I was going to do, and I now have to wonder about if I have the days for, is go to Rick Ector up in Detroit when he does his weekend of training 4,000 new female shooters in September.
Oh, you got a while. Okay.
Yeah, so I got to build up not only the funds again.
That's a no-brainer. I feel like that's a no-brainer because you got plenty of time to get ready for that one. But yeah, thanks for putting it on my radar. I'll try to help out as much as I can.
Yeah, I think that's important, but close time frame with that is NRA and USCCA Expo. USCCA's Expo and NRA. I think NRA is September, and I'm like, I got to pick and choose because again, I have my own advocacy thing going. The reason I go to USCCA, even though I am a U.S. Law Shield, sponsor. I like the guys at USCCA. I'm friends with people from USCCA. And the expo gives you exposure to a lot of different things.
Maybe we're doing this wrong. Instead of trying to get Diversity Shoot Jeep, what if Diversity Shoot gets some sort of, I don't want to say helicopter because that would be too short range. So maybe like a Learjet?
Hey, man, if people cared about Second Amendment advocacy as much as they cared about gear, it would be a reality. You know what I mean?
I'm kind of kidding, but I'm not, because it's seriously not even that difficult when we're talking the kind of numbers compared to the industry. And it's not like oh well, if you do the diversity shoot funded, then we can't have puppies anymore. It's like, come on, tons of money in the industry, and if we need a little more, let's make something new. Like, come on, let's get some money over here.
Yeah, if you ever noticed online when you talk about money and advocacy, there's always some peanuts in a peanut gallery going, "What you people are always shilling for money." And I'm like, yeah, how do you think things get done? It's almost naive to think that somehow I can spend this gas money,
Oh, it's
drive
bad
this way.
strategy. It's bad tactics. You don't want to, we have been depending on individual hobbyists to do all advocacy, honestly. There's been a couple of things that were funded by rich individuals, like the Heller. You know, that was kind of initiated by rich people, as far as I can tell, that just decided, you know, deemed it to be a thing and to kind of stir the pot a little bit or whatever, calm the pot, whatever you want to look at it. But aside from that, it's like everything that's actually happening is individuals who got sick of it or got thrust into it or did it as a reaction to something and then either kept through doing it or were successful at it and figured out a way. But no one is making hands over fists, really. Some of them are more successful than others, but nobody's like just, well, okay, I shouldn't say that. There's one or two organizations that are peeling money off the top, and that's a shame. But it's not enough that it's like, you know, crippling all the other organizations or anything. It's just that because we don't value that as capitalists, we think that somehow there ought to be some Bloomberg who does it for us, I guess. Is that what we're expecting? Or we expect like, you know, some knight in shining armor, if that's a corporation or if that's a nonprofit. You know, the NRA is so bad, right? But we need a nonprofit to come by and slap all the other organizations into shape and make them all work effectively, right? But what we're expecting is that all these organizations run by amateur individuals working in their spare time to perform miracles. And that's asking a lot. They have performed some amazing accomplishments. But the frustrating part is, like you're saying, that if it was just tilted a bit, I mean, from my perspective, it doesn't need to be tilted that much. We're not asking for everybody to live in mansions like a YouTuber. You know, I'm not even kidding, right? Is there any YouTuber that doesn't live in a mansion? If you go look, and I'm not talking gun tubers, I'm talking YouTubers. YouTube people make millions of dollars. Entertainers that are, you know, amateur, just doing it out of their homes and stuff. And some of the people are putting in just as much effort. They're just putting it in a direction that has meaning. And we're not asking for that kind of luxury. We're just saying fund the projects, make it so that they don't have to work 9 to 5s unless they want to for some other reasons. But so I don't think it's bad at all to talk about it, address fundraising and stuff. And I think, you know, depending on how much we want to dig into this, it sounds like you got a while in the car. We can go live as long as Tony needs, just keep him awake and driving. But we do have a Locked and Loaded show coming up. You know, Locked and Loaded is out in the chat, and they may or may not jump in, but they do have a live chat coming up. But we'll blow right through that. We'll cork them if Tony wants to have somebody to talk to. But anyway, we can get into something like, you know, one of the big middlemen. We have some massive middlemen who do nothing but warehouse product while the manufacturers kick it out, which we need, right? We need manufacturers. We need them to just keep running production. And we need middlemen to take that production and hold on to it while it gets distributed. We don't want to depend on Amazon's weird AI BS. So I'm not shaming them. It's just that when they've normally funneled all their virtue signal 2A money to the NRA, that's got to be going somewhere. And I don't like it going to YouTubers or bullshit, you know, virtue signal 2A. I want to see some of that middleman money in our industry funneled into DC Project, the Well-Armed Woman, the Girl in a Gun, 2A for E. You know, there should be, what do they call those, scholarships for Ambassador Academy, 2 Ambassador Academies a year maybe. And then the train and learn and more versions than that. There needs to be a train and learn for FFLs. I don't know if you guys talked about that there or not, but we have a severe lack of FFLs in the same way that SBRs and suppressors can overwhelm the NFA and be a tactic and be an angle for us to pursue removal and you know, making them justify the NFA. We could have an appropriate number of FFLs overwhelm and swarm the ATF's regulatory ability and just literally just supply the new gun owners. Like, one of the reasons there's a problem with supply is because our infrastructure isn't up to date. We need more FFLs to supply firearms to everybody, right? And I'd like to see something like a train and learn where FFLs and content creators get together the same way that instructors and content creators got together. But anyway, that's a lot of shit to throw on the table. Barbecue's in here. he says something once in a while. Clover's in here, and Tony, you can talk as much as you want to. Sounds like you're clear. I'll show.
How'd your section of the training go, Tony? I know when we talked a couple Mondays ago or whatever, you were talking about not using PowerPoint, and you didn't know, wasn't quite aware how that was going to go. So just no spoiler alert, I guess, but without giving spoilers, how'd it go?
It went really well. So we went to the venue, Rob's Guns over in Leadington, I think, Missouri, hosted the event. We hosted it in Battlefield, which is like a gaming laser tag, whatever, but they had 3 classrooms available to us. And it was myself, Sean Herron from We Like Shooting. He did his thing on podcasting. We had the guys from Walk the Talk America, Mike Sedini, and Jake. I cannot say Jake's last name, but they were both from Walk the Talk America. We had Cam, who works with the websites for No Other Choice Training, and we each had 1 hour presentation, 3 classrooms. We'd go into the classroom, we'd do our hour, and then we go to the next classroom, do our hour, and the students stayed in the classroom. So we did 3 of those. So you do 3 hours back to back.
Wow.
Yeah. So one, that created a new skill set for me because, I mean, obviously talking about advocacy, and I had my, what I was going to talk about, but I did it 3 different ways because we were dealing with 3 different rooms. And, people were asking different questions in each room. So it was a lot of fun. I raised my skill set, and I enjoyed myself.
Right.
So that's how it went. And I'm glad I didn't do any PowerPoint or have anything to take from classroom to classroom.
Right.
And we talked about a lot of different things, including raising money.
All right, I walked away. Thanks for joining in, Kyle, Latina, and Puerto Rican Fusileros in here.
Hey, how's it going, G-Webs? How's it going, Clover Tech and Guns and Barbecue? Tony?
Here's the thing. I don't want to quirk all of y'all's shows about the event, so we don't have to necessarily talk about the event in here. However, once you've all done your shows about the event, I would definitely like to have some of y'all back in on my channel to do an after action from my angle, because I've been to a lot of different training over the years, and I'm curious to see some Q&A on the tactics and the type of training, the flavor of the training, let's say, and then some other questions, I guess, that are just maybe not necessarily intro to what you did, but like, anyway, so at some point in the future, I'd like to have a chat with all of you.
Oh, well, I mean, as people that have been to different trainings, just the training or just the things you do is a part of it, but there's other parts, like the people you meet, the things you do, who you hung out with. I mean, there's a whole lot of interpersonal stuff that went on. And the cool stuff you did there that, is not a dead giveaway to what you did. Like, we hung out a lot. Rolando, Joe, myself, Argo, Jay. It was fun. I mean, I got to hang out with friends, and then you get to have conversations about anything that comes to mind. So that's one of the great things about doing one of these training learns for the number of days we were at it, and we had, stayed over. No one was from that area. Like when I take the Costa class, well, they had it in Jersey, and I live in Jersey. So I went home every night. You know what I mean? It was no hanging out with everyone, that kind of thing. That's what made training learn a lot of fun.
And conducive to it, not like, oh, there's hotels there, there's hotels there, there's hotels there, go wherever you want, or like Vegas, where there's 18 hotels within 4 steps away. Everybody splits into different directions as soon as it's over.
Yeah, so we all meet up for breakfast and have a great time. I got to, burn down Rolando's rifle on the range.
It's all good because we're going on a shopping spree now that we got back, and he's looking at can I say it?
Yeah, you can say whatever. Yeah.
Well, I found out one of the cool things I found out is that my guns are too big for my little tiny midget hands. So I have to buy a new pistol. I had Rob Pincus was I think he did defensive pistol 1. And I've been shooting that CZ for almost 2 years now. I went to Ambassador Academy. I shot with Jerry Michalik and Lennon Michalik. I shot around Rolando. No one analyzed what I was doing on the microscopic level that Rob did. And that was really cool, actually. So props to him for that. And he realized that the reason I was, he was like he would look at you, like look at you as you were shooting, look at where you were shooting. And he was like, I figured it out. Your finger doesn't reach comfortably on that trigger when it's in double action. He's like, throw the gun out, buy a new one. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to throw it out, but I'm going to buy a new one. So I'm like, you don't have to tell me twice. I'll buy a new gun and I'll keep it. But then, we were over at Rifle. I was with Tactical Santa and Ken Scott, and I'm not, I'm a beginner with a rifle. I'll just say it. I can hold my own. But usually I shoot from seated position. So this was different for me. So I'm struggling a little bit because I've got, some arthritis in my shoulders and my hands. And Tactical Santa, which is Chris Lyles.
Chris, yeah.
He said, I think you'd be more comfortable with an AR pistol. And I'm like, what? No problem. I'm going to get another gun. So we now I got 2 things on my to buy list. So
you mean guys, like an AR pistol instead of a rifle for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna work with my rifle. It's just I need to build up my strength, which I know. I'm actually somebody who's local to us is Kendra from Hustle Queen. She's actually lives 5-10 minutes away from here. So, and she's really into MMA of the different all the martial arts. She already invited me in a couple of weeks. I'll be going to one of her seminars because she wants me to get into martial arts, and I'm so excited for that. So I definitely need to start working on my strength for that and for the rifle because I could tell I needed to work out my shoulders more. But I digress. So this was all because Tactical Life was one of the sponsors. They brought the rifles. They have a really cool takedown rifle. We were playing with them. They let us use their full auto stuff, mag dump with that. It was a lot of fun. And since they're also local, they're right here in Davie, Florida, not far from us. We decided that, and they were actually on both of our same flights, both in and out of St. Louis. So we're going to link up with them in a couple weeks and head over to their facility here in Davie. And I'm going to be looking at buying an AR pistol, and Rolando's probably going to get an upper for his rifle.
Nice.
That's something to look forward to. I got a new job, guys, so I can spend money now.
That's the reason you go to a thing is to learn if your stuff works and applying your stuff to the new skills sets or whatever. So
absolutely.
And evolving.
Absolutely.
That is definitely the reason I took the High Point in that bullpup chassis. I wanted to see how it would run in the class. I've taken it many times over the years to diversity shoots, but you're introducing a new person to firearms. You're loading, a magazine. They shoot it, next person up. I wanted to run it under the conditions of a class. I ended up shooting it, between, I think we did it like 20-25 yards at the targets. Then we moved around and started shooting over cars, hoods of cars at 50 yards. And the thing held up. I only had one magazine that actually malfunctioned. The follower got stuck halfway in the magazine. It wouldn't feed anymore. So I have my magazines numbered. I chucked that one, but the gun ran. Sunday, I had people running it. So the thing works, man. It's just, I think it turns the fun up to an 11. And I'm really on the verge of going, this is not only a great range toy, but it might be a good defense.
Yeah, I definitely think it was great to see definitely being able to run gear with other professionals and people with different gear level. And I never saw any instance where anybody was impolite or, said, oh, man, you've got like a High Point or you're running like a Palmetto State Armory or you're running this and that's not any good or that's trash. Everybody was very supportive or like, always interested in what you have. And the reasoning behind it, whether it's like, well, this is my first gun, or I've been building ARs for years. So now this is like kind of where I've gone with it, or I'm a competition shooter, so this is the rig that I use for that. And it was really cool to see everyone using different rigs, and even seeing people with, you know, pretty normal rigs like go up with people with competition rigs and not have any issue with it. So it shows just that, you know, shooting proficiency is independent of gear. And it was just a great place to also just get opinions. If you had any issues, you could ask people with different experience and skill levels for assistance. And it was exposure that Joe and I have never had. You know, we've only been doing this for about 18 months, and it was a really great experience. It was kind of the experience that we were waiting for. 2020 kind of like pushed us in different directions, and we originally wanted to go to. This train and learn event was supposed to be in 2020 over the Memorial Day weekend. So that would have been, you know, only a few months after we had gone to SHOT Show and gone to the first 2A rally. So it would have been a different experience. But now kind of doing this for a year, where we've done the podcast and kind of, I guess, online advocacy work rather than in-person stuff, it put us in a different position. And it was really crazy to see people that recognized who we are based on the show and some of the things that we've done, and kind of give us a little bit of validation. You know, obviously we love everybody that's on our show, but to see people in person that, you know, put names with faces, that was really cool. And I think the event was a little bit symbolic too, because I think it was the first time in a year that really all of us from around the country could go somewhere, and we were all free from everything that had occurred in this last year. We could finally get together, and it was, at least for us, it was kind of a not necessarily like, it wasn't a celebration of necessarily where we are in the 2A community. It was a celebration that we were just able to get back together and really start continuing to move forward the way that we always have. And I think
the second step, you guys went to the Florida event. That was sort of,
yeah, it was. But even in Florida, it was not everybody nationally was there, and it wasn't
no guns.
Yeah, and it wasn't no guns, and it wasn't. This was like a camaraderie event and a learning event. So it kind of combined a lot of different things.
More like a speaking event. Like, here's an introduction, here's some rally speech is like a rally, where this is like a training, like you're saying, like a class.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And it was great. You know, we'll go into it on our show tonight at 7 in more detail. And I know Tony went over what some of what he did, but I think it was at least coming from never really have been going to an event like that. It was a really positive experience, and I really can't wait to see how it grows.
I'm gonna ruin stuff. I'm gonna ruin stuff. Probably is my thing working on the thing that says I have bad internet. Can you hear me?
It seems like you're coming in and out a little bit.
If I get bad internet, somebody type it. I'll just shut up. But to address some of that, there's never been an event like that except for the other that he had. There is no other event like that. The Ambassador Academy is similar, but it's only in its second iteration, and it's like $3,000, not $300.
Yeah.
But then, so you couldn't have. No one's playing to an event like that, I guess is what I'm. But if you would have gone as a couple last year, right out of SHOT Show, you'd have still been like wide-eyed and like, oh, I'm new. Like I'll just sit here and be new together, right? Instead, you got a year's clock, and this was 1 year, a year where everyone went virtual, and you're comfortable as a couple. So you had a different, path to entry than anyone else would have ever had. So you have a different situation in that respect. And that's the other thing, is that we went to an event as a couple, and how much of that you realize, but again, you're unique in that. Maybe not completely unique, but you're not mixed with a couple, right? You're not like Diana, right? You're different. You're new and you're younger, and you're coming at it from a different point of view and stuff, and that's bringing the whole dynamic in. I don't know if people will address that with you, but there's a lot of couples coming in, and there's a couple. It's the women who represent, the content creation for that type of, what do you call that? What are you? Demographic or something? I don't know. Can you call a couple demographic? I guess so.
I guess.
But anyways, that angle is different. For you kind of just, you thought that it was, coming in. I was just trying to say, no one's come at that the Katie's event before, because it's the second one of its kind ever.
Yeah, that was definitely a. I mean, Joe can speak to this too. That was something that we were continually reminded of during the event.
Oh, about us not being on.
No, of us being a couple.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In a good way, though. They're not giving about it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's that?
It was positive.
It was all positive, and Katie actually really touched our hearts when we were doing, there was the whole, the whole point of this is multifaceted, but some of it is also to be able to network and to do content creation, because you don't get to see these people sometimes. So if you got a show or something, this is a great opportunity to get those videos and interviews of so you can introduce other people to your viewers and share your viewers and introduce them to new people and new ideas. So one of the last ones that I did was with Katie, and Rolando was filming, and halfway through the interview, he's like, hand the phone to somebody else. You get in here. And I was just really touched that I always feel like I'm the weaker half of this, because I feel like Rolando has so much more knowledge. I'm still learning in terms of politics, and as a gun, user owner, I'm definitely still a beginner. So in my head, I say this every week to Rolando. I'm like, sometimes I get I don't know why I'm on the show. I should just have
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
But anyway, so it was actually weird to me to hear him say, that Rolando takes a back seat to me. And I'm like, he most definitely doesn't. But, he commended Rolando for that. And it's we both do different things, but it's very much synergistic. We just have different roles. And I always felt like, he needs more recognition. I feel like he should push his image a little bit more, because unfortunately there is an image thing. I mean, look at Tony with that sexy bubble bath picture. It's something I don't like about it. But it is what it is. It's the reality of the situation. There is an image part to being an advocate.
I'll wait till you guys are doing your initial, reviews or whatever, and then we do some kind of an after action, because I'll have different questions about the technical, some of the questions that I like to ask somebody after they've done training. And this is going to taint your reviews now, and I apologize. I've been to a lot of classes, and one of the things that I find interesting is lunch times. And already the learn is different than other events, because it's a 3-day and they expect you to kind of hang out with each other in the off and on time. So it's already different. But I've been to classes, and some of them with, let's say, household name people, personalities, and it's lunchtime. It's they check out and are gone for an hour, and check back in, and they start again. And then there's another classes where, it's made clear ahead of time. You bring your lunch, and we're eating at the range, and okay, we're out for lunch and we're off the clock, where, we're eating. But then it's ask me anything, one of those kind of sessions. Have ultimate access with this instructor for an hour while you eat, and the experience of, honest, paid for interesting stuff. And that's the kind of thing that a class can be black and white different, right? If it's what's the word? If it's academic, and you paid for 8 hours, I'm here for 8 hours. Oh, we didn't quite get to all the curriculum, but I'm out of here type of class, versus the much more, there's all kinds of different ones. So that's the kind of questions I like to ask. But then
I'll answer that with for instance, Ken Scott did rifles. I feel like I got to know Ken Scott, and he was very open. If you have any questions about anything, ask me at any time. So we were there, eating dinner, having a drink, smoking a cigar. And if you thought of something or wanted to ask him about anything at all, you can just go up to him and talk to him. It was especially when we were out on that property, because that property was actually a private area of land. We were out there all day. There's no leaving and coming back. So it's you're completely immersed. For at least the 2 days that we did the range stuff, you're completely immersed with everybody. So if I wanted to go and ask anybody, if I wanted to go and talk to Tony about anything at all, he was there. So it was definitely very, how would you say, just...
It was very
different.
open,
Yeah.
accommodating. It was
accommodating.
accommodating.
It was very accommodating. Yeah.
It was actually because I can compare the first, both of them. Because of the weather, the first one almost killed me. I mean, it was well over 100 degrees. It was humidity at the yin yang, and I had a medical emergency. Matter of fact, 8 people went down. Well, this particular one was cold, and people were together a lot. Didn't have that worry. You could train a lot better. You were in a better mood, and around that bonfire was a closeness that I've not seen at any training class ever. Everyone was cool, everyone was laid back, and it was encouraged to talk to each other, to hang out, to go from one side of the bonfire to the other. There was no cliques. Everybody was welcome. Wherever you dropped the chair, you joined the conversation. I think that made it different. I think it was awesome, and I encourage anybody to go to the Train and Learn event if you've never been.
Yeah,
When you
absolutely.
brought that up, I'm cutting somebody off, but I did a class like when I was a young kid, and it was on something completely different. But it was a bunch of hippies, and in the evenings, that's what we did: is have a giant bonfire and just hang out like that. And I can't even imagine if that was a gun-focused thing instead of trail building or whatever it was.
Oh, it absolutely was great. So yeah, on that second day, that's the main training day, and then the third day is kind of a free for all. So you can go ahead and shoot whatever guns you want. If you have your guns, you can everybody can show off their guns and shoot together, produce content, and review one another. So the third day was a free for all, kind of like a 2/3 day. But the second day, yeah, you're there pretty much from 8 a.m. all the way until pretty much when you want to leave. So at around, I think it was like 6:30, we finished up all the actual classes. Then at that point, Katie gave a speech and he said, okay, at this point on, if you want to have cigars and any alcohol, you're done shooting for the evening. Put everything away. We're responsible here. But he had what was it? A bourbon tasting and cigars around the fire. Those that didn't want to drink right away, once it got down to nighttime, there were guys out in the field shooting with night vision and night shooting, so that people that have never experienced that before had the opportunity to do that. It was kind of serendipitous that the Starlink launch happened right at the same time. So as we were all looking up, we could see the Starlink satellites, deploy from the Falcon rocket, which is pretty awesome.
I didn't even hear about that. That's pretty cool.
It was pretty.
That was awesome.
It looked like a string of pearls just appearing in the night sky. And at first, it was like, well, I don't think those are meteors because they don't have any trail. And then
I swore it was the UFOs. They were coming for us.
Yeah, it was too high for drones, obviously, and they were moving too quickly. But it was like, what is that? And then somebody was like, oh, it's Starlink, and I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet.
Dude, I've seen that on Instagram as a still image, so that I know exactly what you're talking about. But it would be cool to see that in actual scale and in real time.
Well,
so that's neat. You can see it happening, right? It's not like it's all slow motion.
I was at the range. I was out there at the night shoot with my rifle, and I got the running as it was happening. Cam was there, and he's a computer and science geek, and he was just giving a running commentary on the whole thing, what it meant, what the background was. So, if you didn't know what it was, if you were standing there with us, all of us staring up in the air with all these rifles with flashlights on them and night vision goggles, and he just gave you the rundown. Dude, it had to be one of the coolest events I've been to, just because of how everything came together, from the people to the science to everything. I mean, I really felt blessed to be there that night. Like the way everything went down, I was like, this is just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it sounds like, again, that the experience is unique because I've heard of glimpses of similar types of situations at SHOT Show, but it's all fake. Like every single part of it is like we're at a party that's offered by a manufacturer to get us to get, loose enough to start making agreements or whatever, or entice us to do this or that we didn't want to. There's always that, manipulation going on. It seems like this one's way more chill and just authentic, right?
I'll say this actually had a vibe that I've experienced before in my life, and that's actually I volunteer with kids with medical condition over the summers, and I've been doing that for 15 years on my free time. And the volunteers have a camaraderie. We even have a fake fraternity, and with letters and everything. And the level of love that you get when you're hanging out in the woods, sharing something that you love doing is just it's a different level of friendship. And that's the same. I felt like I was at camp this weekend. It was just it's completely different than SHOT Show. SHOT Show feels like you're doing business. This felt like you were just hanging out in the woods with your friends, and just everything was just love. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah, I miss these guys. I miss these guys.
We miss you too.
So I'm gonna get Barbecue because he's just sitting here slacking to ask a question, and then Clover or vice versa. But you all have to earn your keep. Ask a question or something. Give them something to talk about.
So I had to jump out and say kid issues, but I just got back in. You guys are talking about the train and learn, I'm guessing,
Or whatever. But yeah, that's what we have been talking about. But just get us going again. Steer the canoe here. Stick your paddle in the water. Get us going in that direction. Barbecue, go. Every second matters. Barbecue, go.
I'm losing my two-way card right now. I know it. Yep, lost my two-way card. I'm sorry.
Wait, do they even have creeks in Texas? Clover Tech. Second Amendment, go.
What was the question?
I know I've swum in a creek in Texas, so I know there is a creek in Texas.
Yes,
But obviously Clover doesn't know what a canoe is.
bricks or whatever.
Anyway, I was gonna I didn't want to take this
So-
chat. Oh, go ahead.
What are we saying? What was the question?
I was just trying to I didn't want to take this chat and have these guys talk about their train and learn after actions or recaps.
Well, I've been sitting here waiting for a non-rude moment to break away from the train and learn event, because there was something mentioned earlier that was interesting when we start talking about image. A lot of people are concerned with their image, and I think rightfully so, as an activist or an advocate that seeks reach, because we can't get the word. What's good does it do to preach to the choir, right? We want reach. We want an amplification of our voice. We want people that normally would not hear our message to hear our message. And many times, in order to facilitate and make that happen, image is an important thing. And you've got certain characters, let's just say, that have very, very polarizing images. And at the end of the day, I guess it's a debatable thing, and that's kind of where I wanted to shift the conversation, is if you are polarizing in one way or another, or you have these little quirks or hangups that maybe don't have a more mass appeal, does it hurt your efforts potentially as an advocate or an activist?
I'm going to take this one. Oh no, Tony, go for it.
No, go ahead. I want to hear your perspective.
I think it if you are polarizing and you are turning off people, certain people, and you're an advocate, I mean, everyone's different. So, one, it's important to be authentic. So if that's the way you are and you're a grumpy, jerk, and that's your thing, that's really who is your authentic self, then I guess that's who you are. But as an advocate, I think that it's a disservice, because you want to appeal to people and you want to be as welcoming as possible. So if I'm, I try to always put myself in the shoes of someone who's just coming in, and that was me not too long ago. And I don't mean to advocacy, I mean to be, a gun owner or more active in as a gun owner. I try to put myself in the position of, are we welcoming enough? Are we being open enough? And again, you don't want to be fake, but, I don't think for the sake of being cool or being like not political, but just drumming up kind of like, because being, that having that edge that turns people off sometimes makes you more cool in some people's eyes. I think that actually does us a disservice overall.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with her. Hey, be who you are, because you can't fake it forever. People are going to know who you are. But controversy for the sake of controversy, it's ridiculous. And people immediately see through it. They see you as being fake. So yeah, you gotta have to be yourself. There's some people that are not cut out to be advocates. and sadly we've given many of them voices, but they've turned off more people than they attract. And then those of us that attract others, or you see as or that are seen as accommodating, are forced to explain why such and such person is like they are. And it is what it is, man. I mean, we all deal with people all the time. Go ahead.
Or you, and I see this happen too. That's why this is an interesting conversation for me. I see this happen too, where your approach, let's just say, and I agree with you about being authentic to you. Okay. But you can hold your same values, your same morals, principles, characteristics, everything that makes you, right? And present those in multiple ways, right? Or at least I think that you can. So you go out and you're doing your advocacy or your activism in a way that's, let's say, draws in a demographic, right? Let's say that you're bringing in a more liberal crowd just simply because of your presentation, right? Or you're bringing in LGBTQ. Let's say it's a race thing, right? Whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden you get labeled as, by some, right, as not being an advocate or an activist because, oh, you're bringing in the wrong people now and you're supposedly watering things down, right? So there's even the people that are authentic have similar issues a lot of times that people that are trying to be controversial have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I've been accused of being left-leaning, bringing in the wrong type of people. And then I just look at who's saying it, and it's usually someone that hasn't done a damn thing. So I give it the attention it's due, which is none whatsoever.
Go ahead, Ro.
Yeah, no, I agree with Tony. That's pretty much the approach you have to take. I think it becomes a little bit more difficult. You know, on my show, I tend to be a little bit more political than some people. I try to bring it an approach that's not mean, I guess, is the best way that I can say it. More because I'm more of a freedom approach, where my logic is the argument that we have is freedom. So if you're not against freedom, then we're for you. But if you are against freedom, then we're kind of against you. So that's kind of where it comes down to. So there are people that I think are pro-gun, but they're not necessarily pro-freedom, you know. So I do try to delineate that. And I think that it is important to delineate that, because ultimately communists love guns too. They, you know, Marx was all about owning firearms and all that stuff too. But are those people for the Second Amendment? I don't necessarily think so. So I do think you do have to have a delineation. I certainly do. Not everyone does that. And I think that if you don't have that delineation, you will always have an issue within our community, because so much of it is about preservation of rights and freedom. So you can bring more people in, but if they do have disagreements about freedom of speech and other things like that, you'll always have a conflict, which is why I try to kind of introduce the Constitution as a whole when I bring people in, not just the Second Amendment, so that people that may be into guns for self-defense, but kind of believe in other restrictions or other things, because it's not all mutually exclusive. They start seeing the big picture slowly, but I don't exclude them right away if they're just coming into it. But I think it's important to be cognizant of that and be aware that our community is always going to have some issues if you bring people that don't necessarily believe that, all of those things. But as far as different demographics, there's really no excuse for that. You know, people are coming in without any other motivations, and they're like, look, I just want to get into guns, or I want to advocate for this. I think this event this weekend kind of showed that the community itself is very open. And I think in person, the internet tough guys cause a lot of problems, because in person, you rarely run into these problems.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that that's also another delineation that we have to have, that people have opinions online. And I think we all do. And then when we meet somebody in person, either that opinion is validated or it's invalidated. And most of the time it's invalidated. We're like, oh, those people aren't like what we thought they were. And then other times, people that maybe you thought were great, you meet them in person, you're like, oh man, they're actually like, they're really terrible in person. It's like when you listen to a band and their CD is great, but then you listen to them in concert and you're like, oh man, they're really not that good.
No, I agree with that. We see that. We say that pretty regular. I mean, there's a few dynamics there. First of all, welcome roll call. Roll call jumped in. I don't know what happened to G, but we'll continue to keep this thing rolling. But yeah, you mentioned, well, all of you have the political thing. It's really a struggle because it's because of boxes, right? I hate labels and I hate boxes. I mean, I don't know at what point we finally get around that, get over that, or if it's just going to progressively get worse and worse and worse. But at some point, we've got to be able to break free of that. It's ridiculous. Nobody fits in one box. Nobody fits in a dozen different boxes. And so when we hinge our opinions of somebody solely based on one particular box that they've got checked, makes absolutely no sense. At the same time, in the spirit of what are we trying to accomplish? If we are trying to accomplish rolling back regulations, legislation infringements as it pertains to our Second Amendment rights, at what point are we cognizant and careful about where we go with our thoughts on private property rights, on massive echo. On
So I'm back then.
Yeah. On private property rights or on sexual orientation or genders or abortion or whatever it might be. And I see a lot of people that I consider to be good advocates and good activists, and they'll be making I'm just blown away by the speech or the dialogue that they're having. And then all of a sudden they turn on something politically and I'm gone at that point. It's like, that's it. I'm gone. And I easily forget, right? I easily forget the great things that they've done or said or whatever with the Second Amendment. It's easily forgotten because they've shifted into something totally unrelated. And my mind just, it turns it off. And unfortunately, it's a loss of everything that they said at that point.
That's why my diversity shoots are limited to only 2A stuff, mainly because that divisiveness, we've been trained over the years and over the decades to somehow, if I don't agree with you on one particular thing, then I get to dismiss you as a human being and everything you do because you don't like Dalmatians. I don't know, make it up, whatever you want to talk about, but it's usually a political position that I don't agree with. And somehow I'm not supposed to like you at all, and I'm supposed to dismiss you as a human being. And it's the most ridiculous thing ever, and that's why I don't want it brought up at my diversity shoot. I've had dudes walk in with MAGA hats on. I'm like, look, I got you. Totally understand where you're coming from. But do you think that hat will work in this room full of people that might not be Trump fans? Like, what are you bringing that to the table for? There's no win there. And they go, oh, sorry, didn't even think about it. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's all. So, yeah, we have to guard against that because it's so easy to wear all of your political beliefs on your sleeve when you think you're in a room full of people that agree with you. And maybe you're not. And maybe you just instantaneously turned a section of the crowd off. Remember, I live in New Jersey. I have people come in from New York, Pennsylvania, rural and urban. They may have different political beliefs and outlooks and perspectives. Well, we're only talking about 2A here. Keep it simple. And guess what? When you do that, you can talk to each other and have conversations and treat each other like people and learn to leave that alone. I mean, we can have conversations, not agree with everything. We have to deprogram from that bull crap. Either, you're 100% with me or you're against me. It's ridiculous.
I want to take an add-on to that now. So I've heard this conversation often, and Every Second Matters is 7 or 8 years old now. And I haven't been to every one or nothing, but I've been around for a lot of them, and then all the court accompanying discussions that happen in between them. And I pretty much only have to pay attention to 2A type of stuff. And it's frustrating when it takes a while to figure out that there's cycles and that there's things that'll come around again, and then we're going to have the same conversations. But the reason we're having the same conversations is because we're also new set of people. And that's something that I'm going to try to offer is this. It's not devil's advocate, just maybe different point of view or something. Somebody's been around the cycle a few times. So think about it this way. Back in the days of like Lincoln and Jefferson and whoever, back in the olden days of presidents, there was some guy walking around with way too many Lincoln buttons on, right? Like every time there was a conversation, he was going to be about how Lincoln was the salvation of it all, or so Lincoln was the problem, right? There was always politics for some people is like too much. But I also want to throw out there that it's a relatively new phenomenon to have a diverse gun owners, whatever we want to call ourselves, community and industry, because we're both diverse in both areas. It's always been diverse, but there hasn't been a requirement until fairly recently for everybody to identify, right? Before it was just diverse, and it's like, oh, if you merely may thought about it, like X and Y and Z, are so-and-so or this and that or whatever the hell, however you're supposed to identify. But, saying there's always been diversity because this is the United States. But it's been more of a thing now that, we have groups for this or people represented by that, or, 9mm shooters can just walk amongst us. Nobody looks at them funny anymore. There was a good time in this country in the 80s when if you shot 9mm, you kept it to yourself and you shot it at a range on your own time, right? And that was just the way it was because it didn't win any wars ever. All it did is cause problems. It's really the worst thing ever on the planet. But, right, things have changed. And that's all I'm saying is it's a relatively new thing. So all of these new gun owners, listen, you people are not even new anymore. Nobody here. You all think you're new. You're not new. None of you are new. You're all at least 2 revolutions old. Clover's old school, and he's barely a little kid. Clover's like a 5th grader walking around like he runs the place, and he's a 5th grader, right? I'm not even out of high school, and I know there's people that have been around here longer than me, right? So there's people of all levels, but y'all have been around long enough to start seeing some of these cycles and stuff. And I guess that's what I'm getting at, is that this is kind of a new phenomenon for the community altogether to get used to us all having places to find like-minded folks. If we like cowboy action shooting, there's a ladies of single action cowboy shooting. So you got to be a lady like single action cowboy shooting, right? And there's an organization for them and the people that support them, right? You don't even have to just be one of those ladies to want to. I like watching old ladies rock out in cowboy gear with lever actions, having super fun, shooting way faster than Micklick, right? That's kind of cool. And they nerd out and they go to, what are those things called? Rendezvous and stuff. And, the gun hunting part of it is just something that they nerd out in. But then they go to their rendezvous and hang out with people that do trapping and fur things or whatever they do at rendezvous. So anyway, we've got a lot of fairly new, we got the internet. I mean, the stuff I guess has been here forever. We got the internet that made gun shows kind of like everybody knew about everything now. And everybody joined these organizations. You don't even have to be in the state, but you can now collect Kentucky long rifles with the other 16 people in this country that still do that, right? Because of the internet. And that's the kind of thing that I just wanted to throw out there, that it's going to take us all a while to get used to, we're all kind of driving around, but wait a minute, we're not against each other and we're not even confined to this. Like it can turn out that, this chocolate and this peanut butter taste good together, but also this Oreo tastes good when you dunk it into fudge or whatever. Like we're going to find out all kinds of cool combinations. We're just now figuring out the elements that we got to work with.
Well,
and I just want to throw that out there, that we're not really against anybody and there's no lack of resources. We're just all kind of figuring out that we're separate entities, and there's a little bit of bouncing heads around. And then I know a little bit of what I think this is kind of started from or whatever, but people come and go too. I just want to throw in the time frame thing that people can look at Ken Blanchard. He got me started.
Yep.
He was running around being a 2A activist in 1992, crying out loud. Like I knew that you could be a 2A activist because of Ken Blanchard was doing it before I even knew it was a thing, right? And then he said, "I'm out of here." Right? Maj is leaving. Right?
Ken's
Everybody
still in
comes.
it though.
Well, he came back. That's what I'm saying. So there's time frame. That's all the last I was ended at, is that it's a relatively new phenomenon, and things change, people change, people come and go. And we have to remember that we all die too. So at some point, we're going to lose people permanently, and that sucks. And we should be incorporating that instead of being startled by it or crippled.
Well, and that's actually kind of to circle back to Train and Learn. I actually think that that's kind of what this event showed. If you went there and you were just looking at it from an outside observer, I even think as an anti-gun person, if they threw one of those people in there, once they got over the fact, it's like, oh my God, everybody here is strapped. And they've got these scary AR things and AKs and stuff. Once they get over that initial shock and they just start hanging out with everybody and seeing that there were so many women there, that there were so many people of every color. There were people of different, sexual orientations, and everybody was just hanging out. I think it makes a difference to catalog that and to really showcase that. And I think it's something that the industry needs to emulate. I know that we always talk about the fact that we're in our echo chambers, but I think that especially over the last few years, we've seen enough, I guess you could say, different gun cultures either rise up or, let's be honest, be exposed. Maybe they were always there. It's not as if minorities haven't owned guns over the past few decades. It's just now we're starting to see an exposure of those communities, or an encouragement for people to, so to speak, come out of the closet when it comes to their gun ownership, outside of, the traditional demographics that we've seen for decades. So,
well, again, it's a cycle, though. I just wanted to cut you off, but yeah. I was watching Maj and Trenchwork yesterday on YouTube, but it was their Instagram. Tony just drop out? Okay, good. Because I was going to let Tony say, Maj, I think, said something, and he didn't mean to say it. I'm sure if you thought about it, I'm not saying I know more than Maj or nothing, or that I one-upped him or nothing, but when he said something about...
Simon on SMS. It says...
You keep your robot quiet. So when Maj said something about this is the first time that there's been like a blah, blah, blah with black firearms, what do you call it? That distracted.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Is that your GPS, Tony, or are you here?
Yeah, sorry about that. I
No
thought
problem.
I had the mic covered. Go ahead.
No worries. So basically, I don't know if you saw the thing with Maj and Trenchwork last night, but Maj kind of said it, and it wasn't his point. He just said it on the side, like there hasn't been so much organized firearms training or something like that for the black community. And I was like, except for the Black Panthers, and that's why we have 1968, right? So I was just going to say, to break in to say, this is a wave. Like, we've had it before. It's just that back then it scared the shit out of a bunch of people, and they created federal laws about it, and they acted like it was something else. Oh no, it's assassinations, right? Yeah, assassinations. That's why we got to have these laws. And now it's more like, right on, like, welcome aboard, right? Like, I don't know, depending on who you talk to somebody like an Alan Gauntlet. He's been like, we've been waiting for you. The door's been here, Talk to like you said, Rick Ector. I don't know how he'd feel about it, but he is, pretty much has been around the game as long as Ken Blanchard, Rev. Ken Blanchard. So those guys might not say the door has always been open, but they've certainly been holding the door open. They've held a door open. Like, it might not have been waiting for you, but they've been there getting people in. It's just been a trickle, and now it's not even. I like to say it's not even a thing. I mean, we've got the NRA's being taken off of the scale at the same time. Phil's organization is being put onto the scale, right? To kind of not necessarily replace it, but replace aspects of it in a way that what's the media going to do to them, right? To their anytime that organization says something, they're not going to bully them like they did the NRA. At least the media is not.
So can I jump in real quick when you were talking about Ken and how this has all been done before and this is not new? Not that we thought we were bringing a new, like, oh, this is Hispanics coming to the table for the first time. Not at all. But I was actually blown away because I was chatting with Ken yesterday. He reached out to me out of nowhere. And I was just like, that's awesome. And I'm talking to Ken. And he's like, by the way, have you joined the Latino gun owners group on Facebook? And I hate Facebook. So I was like, no, but I'm going to do it. So he's like, good, just go ahead and do it. So I went on and jumped on Facebook and found it immediately. And I'm like, all right, I did it. Instantly got accepted by the admin. He goes, oh yeah, by the way, that's my group. I made it 5 years ago. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. The fact that Ken has been trying to get the Hispanics going for the past 5 years. So it definitely has not been anything remotely new, but
the momentum wasn't there. I mean, obviously.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's like, and that's something that I think kind of ties back into interrupt you here. It kind of goes back to us all doing this as individuals on our spare time. So Ken probably had the best of intentions, probably got the idea to gun rights policy conference or something similar, put some effort into it. But because we don't have like personal assistants, we can task with the day-to-day maintenance of it, and then a crew to go out and do all the different tasks that are necessary to, get the word out and all that. we're stuck with a bunch of half-made projects that are waiting for somebody else to come along and offer those resources or that time, right?
It actually made me a little bit sad. By the way, I'm not, I was very happy that Ken was trying to do that a long time ago, because it's actually been like something that annoys me. Like, I know Hispanics are gun owners. They're just all in the closet, and I don't understand it. And it's been a struggle to try to like get them to say, to try to be more visual. I think that's the thing. I think it's a cultural thing personally with, it all ties back to, the church and how they view that ultimately. I think some kind of psychological thing there. And even if they're not religious, it goes back to culture, like your grandma and your mom were, and they put that in your head. So,
liberation theology.
Yes. But it actually kind of made me sad. I got really excited. Like, oh, there's already going to be a group. There's going to be people in here. And in 5 years, there's like 189 people in the group, 190 now. So that just made me realize.
That's without anybody actively saying, hey, here it is, come here.
Well, that's exactly my point. I realized, okay, there's a lot of work to be done. And that's why we actually, like, between Train and Learn and talking to Ken yesterday, I just feel like, I have a fire lit under my butt. And, we made a new friend this weekend. She's on her handle, because we all have to have a cool handle, right? She's the Boomstick Babe on the social medias. But she's Alicia Garcia. She's a trainer out of Colorado. And she's been fairly new in the movement. But she's coming in with, like I said, fire under her butt. So we spent a few hours on the phone with her throughout the last couple of days. Last night, she was like, let's do it. We're going to have like a Black Guns Matter thing where we're going to go around and train people for free. I'm like, well, I'm with you. Like, calm down. We're going to get this done. But I just feel like finally there's enough people on the playing field that we could do something like this, and I'm getting excited about it. And I definitely want to put in the work.
So I was watching something, because I've been watching a lot. Did you guys watch Ed Calderon at all? He was a police officer or special agent or something in Mexico, and then he retired a while back, and now he does all kinds of seminars and stuff to let people know about not to get kidnapped and other interesting stuff, and offers a lot of interesting insight on his Instagram. And I think it might have been one of his posts, and it was a bunch of people basically streaming over, how's the name of the river in Texas? The Rio Grande. So they're coming across the Rio Grande, but like a lot of people, right? Like a stream of people. And I don't know what the point of the post originally was, but he had posted it because somebody in uniform who was there, totally overwhelmed. So the person was just assisting human beings, walking through maybe chest deep water on an adult. So it'd be like a kid was having trouble and somebody smaller would be having trouble. And then eventually this old lady collapsed or something midstream. So a bunch of guys went out and grabbed her and brought her across. And then there was a little commotion as they kind of made sure she was okay. And, people are going to take that different ways, of course. But I think Ed was posting it just to kind of show that, when there's the situation, you can say whatever you want. But when you're a human being and a lady collapses in a river, you're going to not watch that lady die, right? So it had something to do with that. But there was a comment in there. And again, mileages may vary on everything. I live on the Arizona border, so I've got a different opinion of stuff than everybody else does, I'm sure. But if somebody walked from a country where they're oppressed, and more than likely if it's something like a Venezuela or someplace where they haven't had any rights, let alone firearms rights, and one of the reasons it got that way, and I don't know the story of every country and obviously every person, but if it's something that happened in their lifetime or their parents' lifetime where the lack of firearms led the country to be in the situation it is, to where they had to leave their own country and they come up here, do you think they're ever going to vote for some dumbass who wants to take their guns away? I think those are the people that are going to vote for individual rights more than anybody else on this freaking planet. They're going to appreciate what this country stands for more than anybody, right? So I think having organizations that are available to people that are new to this country. My great-grandparents were new to this country. Like, everybody came to this country except for like a couple of people, indigenous folks that, a whole different thing that's underrepresented in the gun community, I think. Most of us are couple of generations away from being new to this country. And in this situation, we got people that can literally walk here, and they may not all speak the same language, but they all speak some version of Spanish, right? So tremendous opportunity there. How good would it be if the entire, well, how cool would it be, and I'm just going to say this because it's every second matters and I say stuff like this, how cool would it be if the entire gun community just decided to learn Spanish as a project and as like a virtue signal that, like, you know what, we're willing to put in that work, and then I guess if we get some extra gun owners because of it, awesome. But then, you know what, we can just go to a rally and speak Spanish to each other, and all the a-holes on the other side don't know what we're saying. You'll just attack the food and smart, and it'd be cool to unite us.
Tower babble them.
Yeah.
That's funny. Hey, we have to get off because we're going to start getting ready for our show and prepping that stuff. But thanks a lot for having us on. Oh,
wait.
Go for it.
Hey guys, so something really cool. If you guys are have that USCCA thing, you guys get a free magazine that comes every month that my very good friend Beth Algazar works for. I think, Tony, you might know her too, maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Smidge. So she sent me a pic of the magazine that came in today. So if you have USCCA, go check out and see if you got it in your mailbox, and crack it open like right at the middle magazine. You might find yourself looking at my face.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Right on. So that's from the Ambassador Academy?
That is from the Ambassador Academy. I'm actually really, really proud of that picture. I wanted to say this with Tony on the air. I told him the story already. It is basically, they told us to like pre-plan certain like picture ideas, right? So some people have branding they have to, promote and stuff like that. I don't have anything like that. So I was just like, what could be a cool thing? And Tony, I don't know, like a year ago or something, I love his tweets. He tweeted something about like, guns. I forgot the exact thing, but basically he's a gun owner because of love. And I remember I reposted his tweet and said, basically made it about my family and, my loved ones and love of myself and all that stuff. And that's exactly, great reason to be a gun owner. So I was like, I want to showcase that idea. So I got myself a shirt. I forgot from Frontier or something or other. And it says, I heart the Second Amendment. I bought myself a hat that was red. This is love. And I actually brought it's not in the picture, but I had a few different versions of this picture. I had a 3D printed heart puzzle that Rolando made me on my anniversary. But in this particular photo, I had holding up the American flag. So it's conveying the message that Tony came up with all that time ago is finally represented in a picture that I'm very proud of. And that's, I love the Second Amendment because it protects us and it protects the people that we love. So thank you to Tony for that idea. I stole it.
Hey, I'm glad it helped. And
I think we lost him.
There he is. He got cut out by the tower or something.
but I'm cool with that.
That's all we got.
All right,
Love you
gents.
guys.
Tony, we'll check in on you in a little while, okay?
All right, yeah.
There
Oh,
it
hey,
is.
My mom's house about
barbecue
7:30.
got it.
Right on.
Cool. Nice.
So that's literally in everybody's mailbox today then.
Yeah,
Yes.
we hadn't actually seen it yet, so
Yeah, it's actually awkwardly, I am not a member of USCCA. I am a member of US Law Shield.
it's okay. Tony is too.
But I do love what they do, and they have a great service. And of course, I love Beth Alcazar very much. So I'll support USCCA.
Right on.
All right.
Big show. We'll probably end this one right before that one and send everybody your way. We don't have a ton of viewers, but we'll definitely make sure people know that you're going live there.
Cool.
And
Yeah, and if you
like-
have any questions that you really want to ask, we're going to go through it pretty thoroughly. But if you have extra questions, G-Webs or anybody else that wants to know about the event, we'll be more than happy to answer them. So we'll see you guys in a bit. Take care.
And then you go with a hunt, and you go live tomorrow with Edgar also.
Yes, and we'll talk about that because that's going to be a contentious.
I mean, I'm like making it bigger in my head. I'm like, when I was describing this to someone, that someone's always Beth, by the way. When I was like texting her, I'm like, my schedule is free because we have to like plan ahead when we're gonna play video games. I was like, I can't do it tomorrow night because I'm beefing with Edgar Antillon and I have to like debate him tomorrow. And I'm like, no, I'm not beefing with anybody. he's basically just being a negative Nancy about where the like what the status of advocacy is, and he thinks it's all for nothing. So I was watching his podcast.
You did watch it then? Okay.
Yes, and I was pretty much talking to myself in the chat, and I was just like, as he was saying stuff, I was just retaliating, and his wife saw it. I guess I was just sad that he didn't. I was hoping he would go back and watch and read what I said.
You're talking like in the comments under the video?
Yeah, in the live chat. Because it was on.
You were there. I didn't see you. Were you on Facebook or on YouTube?
No, I was on the YouTube version. I couldn't figure out how to.
Yeah, that's where we were at. Me and DJ were there. I only saw DJ's comments. Anyway, go ahead. So you saw it live. Okay.
Yeah. And but his wife was there, and she, I guess, told him that I was talking the entire time about why he was wrong about everything. So and then he and I have been going back and forth on IG because I've said something about the constitutional carry. I reposted your thing, and then he posted a retaliation to that, the picture with the gate and in the middle of the field. So he reached out to us and said, let's debate. And that's what we're doing. We're gonna try to prove each other wrong tomorrow night.
I mean, I kind of figured that was a little bit when the conversation got kind of angled towards that earlier. And but I think that's the thing is like people get, I don't know Edgar enough. I've only been watching him as an observer, so I don't know him at all. So, but I know enough that the situation he's in, I've seen at least 6 people in it. And of those 6, like 3 of them or 4 of them probably left, and then 3 of them just shifted or did something different, or they're back, so it's not necessarily unique to see somebody get frustrated and then do something publicly. I've actually seen a couple of people that'll start doing that on a regular basis. I don't think Edgar's ever done it before, so this is, I don't know how to read it or interpret it, but it'll be interesting. So yeah, it's cool that he's going to have a conversation with you about it to like elaborate on it, I guess, right?
Yeah, even though Isaac Chase was playing kind of devil's advocate, and to him was like, It's
hard as a business partner, though, and I think he just got it thrown on. It didn't sound like they had thought it all out and then decided to go live. It wasn't scripted.
It is a little bit, the reason I think I'm a little bit more emotionally invested. A lot of people just said, F it, like, if you don't want to do this anymore, we don't need you. But I feel like I'm a little bit more emotionally invested in this one because Edgar was like a beacon of light for me before I started. There was kind of like 2 people that I was just like, oh my God, like, I just can't wait to meet them. Back then I didn't know Tony, now he's, my favorite human being. But at that time I was like, who do I admire for the work that they put in and that you can actually see with like statistics, that was Maj and that was Edgar. So the 2019 rally, I was most excited to meet afterwards, Maj and Edgar. I was too intimidated to go up to Edgar. I knew he, he's got a funny personality, so I really wanted to go up to him and say something funny, like, I'm so excited to meet the only other beaner here, but I was too scared to say that. And by the way, I know that was politically incorrect, but I thought he would think it was funny if I said that and make him laugh. But yeah, so that's why it's a little bit like disheartening for him, because he was that like one of the people that meant like the world to me when I first started, and like made me like be like, I want to grow up to do something awesome like you. So it's kind of like seeing your heroes. You should, what is the expression? You should never see your heroes in real life or something like that. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like, it really hurt my feelings. Like, dude, don't say this. Don't do this. Don't do it, man. So.
That's interesting. Cause I think I guess I was thinking as you were saying that, I'm like, And then as you said that about shouldn't meet people, for me, meeting people is probably going to SHOT Show when I would meet people that, like, for me, it was Richard Marcinko and Masada Ayub, because I had read their stuff, so I knew who they were, and they were legit, and they like came from authentic backgrounds, and then they wrote interesting stuff. So, meeting Masada Ayub for the first time, and you've met Masada Ayub?
No.
Before?
No.
Oh, he's like everybody's grandpa. He is seriously one of the nicest, authentic human beings I've ever met. He's a nice guy. You might not agree with his whatever theories or something, I guess, but I mean, he's a nice guy, and I've seen him just do some really impressive stuff as a human, right? He's just a nice guy, because I've had the opportunity to hang out with him on the, just on a personal side here in Arizona. He knows some people here and I know him, and I've had an opportunity to see some stuff. So that guy was super cool to meet and just be around, and then to learn how just real he is and regular he is. And then, because you would think somebody like that, there's other people, man, I don't want to be a dick. There's people who are name brands who are definitely fake. They definitely know their brand. They walk around being a brand, and their face is their brand and their name is their brand, right? And there's people like that, and I don't care if I ever meet people like that, right? And Marcinko was different. He was a nice guy too. So those were back for me. That was like 2006 or something. So it was a while ago. And then I've met so many fakes, that I just don't even care about meeting quote unquote celebrity anymore. I do find people that I am impressed. Like there's people like Tony, right? Like I want to shake Tony's hand because Tony's doing cool stuff, right? Pleasure to meet that dude and shake his hand. But then
don't stop at a handshake. You got to go in for the full hug with Tony.
So, but anyway, so I guess that's what I'm getting at is that, shit, where was I going? Damn.
There's people who are fake, and
Yeah.
you should meet your heroes. Yeah.
Oh, to meet your heroes. Thank you. So that's the thing is, I guess I've been a little delusioned. So when you're talking about meeting people for the first time, I'm like, what do you care? It's just Edgar. Like, what do you care? It's just Tony. And I'm thinking, oh shit, that isn't like if there is that. Whatever, that first time you meet somebody, I don't know if it's pulling a curtain, whatever that's called, like when you figure it out, I think it's got to be getting different, because I certainly didn't think Tony, when I met him, was like, superstar or something. Like, I had to wait in line behind security people and, get something autographed. I wasn't that kind of celebrity. I wasn't like that, but I was waiting for him to, just get done talking to somebody so I go over and shake his hand or whatever. I feel a little bit of that, whatever that is, like getting to see real life version or something. So anyway, yeah, I could totally understand that'd be neat to experience. And then I guess as you go along, it'll be something maybe to keep in mind, because y'all are new to this. At some point you're going to get calloused over or less impressed, and people as you realize we're all just humans and all of our human flaws are like, there's less and less people that seem like, oh man, this person is like so awesome all the time. Like they're always right, or like, they're always on time, or they always have the right idea or something.
I think I've reached that point.
That's the thing. It happens so much quicker in the real life internet, right? Like, or in the real life, whatever we got nowadays, where the internet facilitates or makes it really hard for people to hide behind that stuff. I mean, the people that show up for meet and greets and don't do anything more than smile and look for pictures and sign a book, like you'll never know what they're like, because there's always that shell, that fake.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm going to bounce out because I'm going to continually lose you in the hills on the last half hour to my house. So I'll listen to the show as long as I can. Hope a great night. Obviously, and thanks a lot, G-Web, helping me out not only now, but on the way out there. You're a lifesaver, bro. That last hour going into Missouri was rough.
I definitely understand what it's like. So you're saying you're heading home already. You're not just doing that other stop?
Oh, no. I'm like from my mom's house. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm a
so
half hour
offer still stands. I'm at the place now. So if you get someplace and you need a call tomorrow, tonight, whenever it is, don't worry about for OPSEC. We can go live or not. But yeah, offer still stands. If you need to call somebody, give me a call. We'll go live or hang out.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
All right, so you guys Ro already took off, right? So you jump out, and it looks like we got about an hour till your show where you chat about your recap of the Train and Learn event.
Yep.
Right on. And then
So I'll see
tomorrow,
you guys at 7:30 for anyone who's going to jump out. And then tomorrow at 7, I believe, we're going to be doing the show with Edgar. Hold on, let me confirm that.
Today's 7:30.
Okay, so today's 7:30. Tomorrow is 8 o'clock with Edgar and Isaac Chase.
Right on. So I guess you've got a new gig coming up, but if you got a list of things to do, I always like leaving people a whole bunch of things to do. So let's do a chat where it's Spanish language, and we get gun owners to talk about gun stuff in some sort. I don't know how to do it, but I know that the people that are in Border Patrol down here, when they have to learn Spanish to like for real and learn it, They do immersion. Every Wednesday they go speak Spanish to each other and they just talk about whatever in Spanish. And then they go to Mexico to a town where they don't have tourists and they just live Spanish for a while. And that's a way to learn it. And I'd like to do something like that for 2A. If you're interested, no obligation or anything, but that. And then I think similar for vegans or vegetarians or people that just want to be healthy. And maybe if it has to be food related, but if you're down, I think something that's underrepresented, and I know only 3 other vegans out there, but maybe doing something like what Ken Blanchard did, something that doesn't have to be super active on a weekly basis, but every once in a while when we learn of a new vegan, we have them on and talk to them so that we don't get marginalized to some sort of whatever, and you don't lose all the awesome vegans that are out there that are into guns.
Absolutely. And I wanted to say, it is rough being a vegetarian or vegan in this community because there tends to be a really big like hunting aspect to the gun community. And I'll tell you, I've been to plenty of gun events, and they make a joke out of it. It's like, oh, I guess you're gonna starve, So it sucks being. I'm just gonna say it. If you're going to a gun event or a 2A event or some kind of event, we usually end up bringing power bars, like the kind bars or whatever. I usually have them in my pack because I'm 99% of the time I will not be eating. So for sure, we need a support group.
You'd be surprised. There are definitely, like gun rights policy always has a vegan option. And I think they always have, or at least have since I've been going in 2015. So I've always been thankful for giving them heads up or thanks for that. But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. Luckily, as a 300-pound dude, nobody gives me as much smack about it. They usually have to deal with it. But yeah, I think that'd be neat. Plus, just fun because most people don't know what they're thinking. Most people are sitting around eating 12 things and acting like they have a variety when we're eating way more stuff than that and having a lot more fun with it.
Well, I do have a little bit more time now than I did before my previous job where I was working 12-hour shifts in medicine. So I am now a white collar remote worker and I work a very like 9 to 5 kind of thing. So I definitely have more time now. So I'm down. So reach out to me and we'll talk and see if we can get together and do something.
Right on. Cool. So we'll look forward to the show here in about an hour.
Okay. Nice to see you guys. Bye, Clover Tech.
Bye.
Bye, GUS. Bye, Guns and BB. Bye, Ro.
See you later.
I did get your email. Thanks, Barbecue. I'll chat with you off air for about that, but thank you very much.
Yep.
Barbecue does a meat show where he sits around talking about meat and carnivores and whatnot, and does a giveaway, or was that a once in a while thing, or was that every single week?
No, it's once a month, and what I'm doing is just like a trivia question each week, and then once the last Saturday of the month comes, everybody that answered the trivia question correctly, or what was the first ones that answered it, which you were the first one to answer the first question correctly, and so on. Then at the end of the month,
Was that the work temperature one?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. And I remember that because I was like, really, the vegan's the one that answers that right off the bat?
Food health certificate, saving the day. Paying
Yep.
off that $15 in like afternoon I spent at the health department learning how to be a health food inspector or whatever, food health inspector.
But yeah, so and then on that last show of the month, on the last Saturday there, I'm just doing a random number generator for everybody that enters, so it's like a 1 in 4 chance that they end up having.
We got an hour before their show starts. Crump went live earlier with somebody who I can't read because his thumbnail makes it obscures the words, so I can't read the thumbnail. And then I don't think there was anybody else live today. Oh, I went live earlier to read comments and was the worst session ever. I don't know if anybody caught that or bothered to watch it. It's pretty lame. I wouldn't watch it. But basically, I did my random thing, pulled like, let's say 20 or more. Every single one of them, except for 1 or 2 had a sentence, but every single one of them was one of 5 boilerplates. Yeah, I'm still connected.
Good or bad thing?
Some organization apparently dumped some or posted something probably.
Well, I mean, so then I went up and I put another video up, but I did it live, and obviously I'm having poor connection, so I'm gonna have to record it normally and just upload it. But I went through and I've sort of been watching, or I put on that one page somewhere how the different number of comments versus approved comments for the last comment periods, and the ratio was something like, for the bump stocks, it was 1/2. So half of the comments that were submitted were approved, right? A 50% ratio. And then for the pistol braces at Christmas time, it was a 10%. So something like 70,000 comments went in and 7,000 were approved. So only 10% got approved. So what I'm guessing is they filtered all of the garbage boilerplates, repetitive stuff, and all we saw was the unique ones in that 7,000. This time it's about 25% ratio at this point. We don't know how many, right? But so right now it's 25%. And I'm guessing they've applied a different, looser filter that's obviously letting through all these similar ones, where before those were either being filtered completely or put into a separate pile and we weren't seeing them. And if that's the case, my pondering was, is that intentional? Because they saw how effective my videos were, where I could just go in and read all the awesome comments, and it was like, wow, the community is awesome, and look how awesome we are, and that's a great idea. Now I'm going to comment with that great idea. And here's another one. Now I'm going to comment with that one, right? Or did they say, in other words, saying, well, if we put all these boilerplate ones in there, well, now it's all obscured. And now they have to really dig to find the good ones. And it'll be real difficult for them to swamp us, quote unquote, with good ones. Or was it just an accident? Like, oh, we just inadvertently filtered it wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's more likely a combination of, they probably set filters, and I don't know how it works, but for the Federal Register, when they set up the comment period, I would assume they have certain back end settings and things that they can do. Yeah. So depending on the employee that sets it up at whatever department at whatever given time on whatever given subject, right? They probably don't have a set criteria necessarily. Yeah, that they set all of that. So that's one.
Well, they obviously don't, right? At least they don't, because otherwise it'd be consistency. Yeah. So you're right. It either has to be like whatever, or like the guy just whoever happens to be standing there does his preference or something.
Yeah, right. Whatever they think's best, or whatever the case may be. And then I think that it would be interesting to look at some of those form letter dumps and identify where those come from, and if and when those organizations push anything through social media or an email blast or something like that. I think it could be beneficial as well.
I think I can't tell if DJ is offering me a wrench or if he's demanding to be placed a wrench in his hand. But either way, I'm not signed into that account. I just am working over into it through my Pelican or my Duck or whatever this is. So I don't have that power from my, I'd have to go fiddle with my YouTube, and I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing all that just for the Second Amendment. So G23 jumped in. Roll call is in here. He's working. He didn't say nothing this whole time. He's just here for the paycheck. Barbecue is basically just working. Clover's been saying stuff, so he deserves his paycheck.
Yeah, Clover's fixing to bounce, though. We got some things I need to take care of.
What's today, Wednesday? You doing a show tomorrow?
Yeah, we will do one tomorrow. Probably be talking about comments and just some different things, different elements of comments from various perspectives. And then next week will be interesting. I got Swamp Dog Armory, who was at IB 88. He's been playing around with the 3D cameras and stuff. So,
is that who that is?
Yeah, and so we're going to talk.
I know people have said about it, and I can't hardly ever tell on a live show unless they say, or it's really obvious, like who it is. But I've heard people say about that. So his channel has the 3D videos?
I don't know that his channel has any 3D videos, but he's been
360,
playing around.
360.
No, 3D.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of something else then. So I'm thinking of where you can look in any direction, up or down and whatever. You're thinking of something. where it's like virtual reality more?
I'm guessing, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
that I
gonna-
don't
he's
know
gonna-
so much about. Okay.
But anyway,
That's
he's gonna
probably-
school us on that a little bit.
And that's what, 2 weeks? Like week after tomorrow?
That'll be next. Yeah, that'll be next week.
All right. So you ever going to do a show on various other platforms again? You know, like the MeWe and the Odyssey and that, or is that for
Probably need to now. I've got a little more experience with Odyssey and what's the other one? The Rumble and some of those. Probably need to. Yeah.
There's a mess of them is the thing, and doing a panel where you get people that have experience at different levels on those different ones would be interesting potentially, right? And then I was looking into a thing, and its whole deal was, what's your next 5 moves? So what about something like, what's your next 5 moves, and whatever people think that means to them.
Right. That's true. I like it. Yeah, we've got to. I mean, you know that is, and I've expressed it privately to you before. You know, many people. Thursday show is hard to. It's hard to do that week in and week out and not recycle topics because, you know, or feel like you are anyway, because things change. You know what I mean? Your situations change as a creator, policies change on platforms, shift of audience, what's hot at the time, you know, new technology. There's so many things that apply to that Thursday night show that
Then what
you know,
if you?
it's like didn't we just talk about this like a few months back? You know,
What
but
if you
and-
take
and
your
we-
Thursday and slice it in half to, or even thirds, so it's they're 20-minute segments, and it's more of like 2 rounds for 20 minutes. So go around the room, go around the room. Next topic, go around the room, go around the room, and then you hit like segments. We're going to talk about tech. We're going to talk about trends, and we're going to talk about something else with a T or whatever. You know, so you come up with something that way you can cram more topics in, and it's not like let's beat this one to death, but it's like let's just wet everybody's whistle. And then maybe people can spin off and go, oh, you know what happened on the Clover Tech studio? Let's go over here and do a show where we dig into that.
possibly, yeah,
I'm just throwing things out there.
you know, possibly. But I mean, I do like the comprehensive approach of trying to cover as many aspects of something as possible. That's where the education comes into play.
Yeah, otherwise it's just constantly introduction. Here it is, here it is, here it is, and you
And
never
then
done.
I've got questions after the fact, right? I've got so many questions. I already have so many questions at this point now, emails that come in and in you know Facebook group and other things that it's like, what about this? You know, you talked about this. Can you explain this more? Can you do this? Even though we go for, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. So yeah, if we did 20 minutes, oh man, it would really up my off air workload, if you know what I mean. And I need less of that.
Oh no, I'm in 20 minutes times 3, so you'd still go an hour, but you would jam 3 topics into one show.
No,
Just
I
that
get
you-
it. I get
Okay.
it. But if you're not covering A to Z in that 20
Oh yeah,
minutes,
yeah. Then and plus, yeah, you just have to come up with a topic and let the
Yeah.
guests basically take all the time.
yeah, and all of that also hinges on how many people. Like this last time, I'm surprised
That's
we
true.
got out as quickly as we did, because that was the biggest panel that I've ever had on a. You know, I've never had the paid for duck until recently. So you know, like I'd only have 6, and there was 9 or 10, or I don't even remember at some point last week. So you know, depending on how many decide to jump in. You know, and by the time everybody gets their say and goes through their stories and experiences and thoughts and ideas, then yeah, I mean, you eat up a lot of time with stuff like that. But no, nothing going on necessarily tonight. We're watching, obviously, you know, for the governor to sign constitutional carry, as well as some other pro-gun stuff here. I'm still keeping an eye on that. So you know, I'll go live. We'll record a podcast. We'll definitely get the word out, you know, if and when that happens. But for the most part, yeah, just going to hang tonight, probably listen to some Locked and Loaded Latinos. And I think we've also got Rants and Raves later tonight, and some other stuff. And yeah, just kind of kick back. But yeah, happy every second matters to everybody. And it's been fun hanging out for a couple hours.
No, thanks for jumping in. I'm gonna keep looking at the other one. We got 37 minutes till the good show comes on.
what's going on, G-Web?
Just been running this show now. This is just about to hit the 2-hour mark. Your camera's on, right? Looking at
Yep, I'm driving down the road.
All right, guys. So that looks like a heck of a lot of headliner. You can't shove a patch up there; it'll fall off of there.
I should.
Because a lot of times, depending on if it's felt enough, like if it'll work, then like on my cop car, I got patches all in my head.
Yeah.
So what? We roll call jumped out. He's what happened to that? He's only here to hang out with Clover, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just got off work, so I haven't been able to do a whole hell of a lot. Haven't been able to do a whole hell of a lot for every second matters.
Oh, that's barbecues chat where you have to have accomplished this much in order to even be in the chat. Every second matters is a voluntary situation.
Like to put everybody on the spot.
So Foss is saying patch shaming. No, I'm just giving them saying, hey, if that's the kind of headliner that can do it, you got a ton of potential up there.
Oh yeah.
Problem is you got to worry about if you got people in the car that are sticky fingered. Let's say you drive around with people that are sticky fingered, you wouldn't want to necessarily put all your good patches in your car. Let's see. So they're talking about their drugs out there. Got the 81 going. That's some kind of 2A gang situation in Texas. I don't know what DJ's trying to post, but you can't post links over here. We already gone over that. So yeah, there's going to be a conversation, it sounds like, tonight with Latino Locked and Loaded doing their recap of the Train and Learn. This is their first time going, I think. It is their first time going, but Joe went to the Ambassador Academy, so she's going to be comparing it to a similar but different event. And then they're both kind of new to the whole thing. So they're going to, I don't know how many things they've done training wise, but they're going to be, offering their perspective of it. I'm guessing Tony said he's going to record a podcast at some point, probably while he's driving. So that'll go up on his channels at some point when he's back to his computers to do his thing. So relatively soon. And then I invited him on, both of them on after that, to go on live with me to do a conversation about my questions. Because again, I'm thinking as a person who's new to something, you can only offer your experience, right? But I've been to a lot of things, so I'm going to ask them some different questions that I'm thinking are like that. Like for example, that one I asked about lunch earlier. What was the lunch like? Because most people, unless it was amazing, and they're going to bring up lunch because it was such an amazing part of their experience, they're just not going to bring that up, and so they're not going to focus on some of the little things. And I like to ask those questions just because they give me something I can compare and contrast to things I've experienced, and then that way, I don't know, attempt to judge the way things are going, evolving, moving along, and that kind of thing. This is already more of a participatory and developmental thing than it is just an instructing type of situation.
Yeah. It's like when I brought Defense Dad on after his training, because I had a bunch of questions for him, and it was really educational, actually getting to hear his opinion and stuff like that, and then being able to ask him questions.
All right, I missed that then. When was that and what training was it?
He did a, what was it? Down in Nebraska the same weekend that Budget went to Tennessee.
Oh, really? So it was just a minute ago.
Yeah.
No, I missed that. So you did a show on your channel with Defense Dad?
Yeah. Well, I was
I'll
doing
go
my
back and
Saturday
watch it.
evening. I was doing my Saturday evening chat, and then he showed up, and so I'm like, hey, let's talk about your training if you want to. So he came
Oh, I
on, and
might have
we
seen
discussed a
some.
bunch of that.
All right, I might have seen some of that. I thought you meant like a separate video, but I'm still going to want to
No.
go back and take a look at that.
Yeah, no, it was in the like 5-hour live stream.
But then Budget went to Tactical Response, and he wanted, all right, yeah, I had asked to do an after action. He was down doing an after action, or like a prep thing. And then the day we were going to do it, my internet went out. I had the same problem that Roll Call's having. Same thing I'm having tonight, kind of, where my internet went out, but it went out. I didn't pay the bill. So I wasn't able to jump on before he went, and he scheduled that conversation like the day before he was packing. So we didn't even have a chance to chat before he went. And I'd like to, because I do like to talk to people before they go in to kind of get an idea what their mindset and their perspective is. I find it very interesting to talk to people before and after their first experience at a decent training opportunity. I just find it super interesting. And so I missed that out, or I missed out on that, but hopefully he'll jump in and, or at some point I'll be able to get him on to do an after action and get the after experience from him. I haven't heard anything from Budge. Has anybody else heard anything about his experience? Did he enjoy it or did he not like it?
I think he liked it. I saw some of the videos that he released.
Oh, he's already put out videos on it? I guess I didn't see that.
Yeah, he put out a couple videos on it.
Oh, I'll have to go look.
One
Must have missed him. And maybe I'm looking for a different thumbnail.
One was him talking with James Yeager.
Oh, good. Right on. No, I'll definitely watch that then.
Oh, crap. "12 hours later, I finally returned home."
Dang, just to get a frozen pizza?
Right?
I wouldn't go quite that far. I'd go that far for Chicago pizza, maybe, but not for frozen pizza. All right, well, so they're saying some kind of codes out there. I don't know if it's gang codes or what, but I don't know what's happening out there. Don't see a link. Link to what? I don't know what he's asking for. Looks like Roll Call's internet's not working good. I'm using my phone right now, so I had to jump off. Is there some kind of hack on our infrastructure? Did someone hack our infrastructure again? And our internets are down? That might explain why my views are down.
My internet's working just fine. I'm on Wi-Fi.
All right, well, I guess then we'll end this one. I should have ended it. I feel like I should have ended it 3 minutes and 50 seconds ago, so I could have ended it at 2 hours on the dot. This doesn't seem like a very 2A of a number to end it at 2:03. I guess we could wait for 20 minutes and end it on 2:23, but that seems like a lot of work. So we've got 27 minutes before the best live conversation. So I don't know. I've been doing this for a while. I've been hard at work at the 2A mines since before the big building was up on the hill over there. So I can remember when this little 2A pit was just a small pit. We had to come in here and pick up the giant boulders ourselves. And this one guy had a mule. And then sometimes we would take a rope and tie it around one of the big boulders. And that giant boulder pile over there was all from people pulling them out with mules and stuff. But now there's all these bulldozers everywhere and stuff. You kids don't even know what it's like back in the day. So we got 20 minutes till the next chat. This one, I guess, we're going to put all the tools back in the shed, the 2A tools back in the shed. 203, like an M203. Back in my day, M203s were the snap. We would take an M203. I only ever got to shoot chalk through. But we would take an M203, load that bad daddy up with a chunk of chalk, and shoot that through a fake-ass window in a piece of wood. Man, it was awesome. You don't even know. You're willing to sign your life on the line so you could wing some chalk through a brick-ass window in a piece of wood. Let's see. Oh, your scholar says the ATF link description in the comments. It's right there, dude. It's literally right there. I guess we're going to, because we don't have the link in the comments, what's his face is going to get elected. It turns out he's not a diversion. And we'll probably get all those laws enacted just because I didn't put that link in this video for these 13 people. These were the 13 key people to let y'all down, and the Second Amendment down, and the future down. All those generations. I feel bad. But I can laugh about it now because it's the future before all that. And you never know what's coming. Anyway, I guess I was saying that I've been in this game forever. Back when the 2A pit was just a little hole. And there's very few authentic people in here. There's a couple. Cheryl Todd's pretty authentic. I've just seen so many opportunities where she could have just wailed on the community. And she's done the opposite. She's fostered and encouraged and offered. And she's just a super stellar person. There's a couple other people out there I could go on and on. I don't know everybody, though, as much as others, but there's very few authentic people that are just doing it for the enjoyment and the potential. And Locked and Loaded, you saw them earlier in here. Their chat is on number 45. So that's the caliber that saved the entire planet. This entire hunk of rock would have been covered with Nazis if it wasn't for the 45 ACP. And that's the kind of caliber of chat they're going to have tonight. Anyway, those are the two of the more authentic people, two of the most, what's the word? Like optimistic? No, what's the term you would give somebody who has, the people with the most potential? And yeah, it's neat to see new people coming in that are going to change the field or change the game. So you can watch their channel. No pressure. It's just going to be the best show you're going to watch all week. You're going to forget instantly this chat, this train wreck of a 2A chat, and all the other garbage that you've ever seen. And you'll be like, dang, I wish there was more than 45 episodes of that chat. Because usually it's like watching a 2A volleyball match, except that instead of just being a volleyball, the 2A goes back and forth between them over this net, right? The net is the antis, and they're just being amazed and frustrated because they can't do nothing about it except watch. And they're bouncing that 2A back and forth. But the 2A is like getting more and more on fire. And then it changes color. And then it changes in like, did that thing just change into like the shape of a hawk and then fly across? And then after a while, it turns into fireworks. And then there's music and a big party. It's amazing. So that's the kind of caliber of chat that you're going to miss if you don't go over and watch episode 45, Locked and Loaded. You'll get that. Like basically it took that chat and made a photocopy or a ditto copy of it. That's what you're going to get on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Barbecue's ripoff chat, where he emulates 2A chats. Pretty good. And then on Saturdays, you'll get like if you printed that out on a decorative plate and set that up on the armoire or one of them wooden areas that you have the grandma has on the side of the building, you'll get G23's 2A chat. You say DJ's the dang it, what's the name of that place? The Burlington Coat Factory of 2A? Oh no, he said Burning Man. I don't know why he's saying that. I thought he said Burlington Coat Factory of 2A. All right, we're all over the place on this one. If you listen this far, I'm not even apologizing. It's your fault. You shouldn't listen this long. This much 2A is too much for regular people. It gets all off track. And these guys aren't even helping me. It's just getting worse and worse.
I mean, Locked and Loaded Latinas, what can you say about how optimistic they are, how well they work together, you know, and yeah, they're young, energetic, outgoing, and just got, they've got that chat on fire, especially when they're doing it in both English and in Spanish to help out both communities. I mean, come on.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And it's like not like the deer in headlights kind of, new to the scene. They're also like paying attention and critical, not to the like level of just being critical because they're kids and they want to be critical about everything. Future leaders. Now look at what DJ's trying to do. He's trying to lay a trip on him, man. He had this nice like mellow vibe going, and now he's laying this authoritarian trip on him. May need to get another box of ammo or start shooting someone I got. Well, if that meant 9mm ammo, don't buy 9mm ammo. Nobody here is going to suggest that. No one is going to suggest you go down that path. Leave that stuff in the store. That'll teach them for ordering it. Barbecue, anything? Trying to bring it back on track? Be the crane that brings this thing back onto the track, or?
Barbecue's asleep.
No, I'm here. I'm dealing with kids, cooking dinner, all kinds of crap. I'm kind of distracted from the 2A. Although I'd like to mention, I like what Rolando said earlier when he differentiated between, pro-gun or pro-freedom, because it seems like all too often we hear people try and differentiate, are you pro-gun or are you pro-2A? But throwing that whole pro-freedom thing in there, I really liked.
As soon as you said that, I started thinking, now I'm concerned that if he gets too distracted, instead of worrying about the kids and cooking dinner, he's going to cook a kid for dinner and then worry about it. So let's keep your mind on things.
That's where you get baby back ribs from.
That's what I'm worried about. Exactly. And then you try to cover it up. Oh, no, I meant to cook baby back ribs. I don't know where your brother is. All right, well, see, that's what happens when you bring in meat eaters. You never know what they're going to eat. That's why I try to keep all my arms and legs inside the vehicle when having conversations in one of those meat chats.
I really need to do a grilled salad video. I just never seem to get around to it.
What is that, where you grill a bunch of tomatoes and put them in lettuce and be like, that's a grilled salad?
Yeah, pretty much everything that you're going to put on the salad, you just throw on the smoker.
Or like a shish kebab type of situation?
If you want a shish kebab them, you could. A lot of times what I'll do is just slice everything in half, throw them on there, let a little bit of smoke get on them, wait till the skin on vegetables just starts to wrinkle a little bit, pull them off, slice them up for the salad, and there you go.
Yeah, that would be good. DJ's saying a radish, and you could take all the radishes and put them in a big rocket ship and launch them into space, and I wouldn't give a shit. Maybe pickled radish, but I don't know. This doesn't need to be a food chat. We're just rambling, trying to waste 16 or 18 minutes. Tell you what, we're just going to end it at, it's 2:13. What a stupid-ass time to end it. We'll end it at some point here, regardless of what the time is. That'll give you a little time to go spend approximately 18 minutes with your loved ones before the next 2A chat comes on. And then you can watch that chat. And then I guess you can spend time with your loved ones again after that. It's up to you. But I guess with that, we'll say thanks for being 2A. We'll be back in another month. You're not restricted to this show. I only do this show because I'm the one with the keys to this channel. Nobody else wanted them and nobody else took them. And anybody can do a 2A thing. I think Barbecue did a 2A, Every Second Matters thing this afternoon or this morning. I don't know if anybody else made any videos. I've seen some Instagrams. I stole Foss's Instagram picture for the thumbnail. But if you got creative ways to do something for the every second of matters, then come up with it and do it. Nobody's going to stop you, and everybody will probably watch it. Yeah. You guys have anything else?
Did you see the Rogue Banshees short, Every Second Matters, where he did some 3D printing?
Oh, no, I guess not then. So do shorts just show up? Like if I click on, I usually open up YouTube, and then I usually click on, what do they call it, a hamburger at the top left, and then on a regular computer, I'm not crippled. I'm not crippled by a Macintosh. So I go to the little hamburger thingy, and then I go to subscriptions, and then I see people I'm subscribed to, right? And then if I'm not satisfied, then I'll click on where it says YouTube above there, and then it shows me like people I might not be subscribed to, but I've watched them before. So is it in something like that, or do I gotta go to a special place like up and down that menu to find shorts? Because I don't know anybody that does shorts, I guess.
It just popped up on mine as a video he released. So if you're subscribed to him, I think it says E2M. And because I'm on my phone, I can pull that up. Let's see if I can pull it up without getting kicked from here.
Okay, so it kind of looks like a black rectangle with a yellow or rectangle inside of it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like a fast motion 3D print thing.
Yep.
This is just a minute? It seems like it's going for a while. Oh, yeah. How much time does it say how much time that is in real life?
2:16 and 20 seconds.
What? No, but I mean, like, that had to be way more than 2 minutes. That's probably like hours, right? Of printing.
Oh, yeah. He didn't say how many hours. I'm pretty sure that's probably at least 5 hours of printing.
Oh, okay. It took me a while before. Once it gets to the end of the trigger guard, you can see what's going on. Was it 2 different colors?
I believe so.
They just probably changed the color of the plastic that feeds into it, I guess. I have not yet played with the 3D printers, but I suspect we didn't talk about that tonight. Nobody 3D printing focused jumped in. But, 3D printing is going to, I think, change the ability for gun laws to exist. Really, it'd be really tough to enforce the law against a bunch of law-abiding people when, eventually they're gonna be like Star Trek, right? You just walk up to it and be like, "Give me a Glock 17," and there's a Glock 17. So, gun laws will have to be like some kind of virus or screen protector or something weird, like some kind of clearance you have on your authorization to use the printer or something. It can't be the material anymore. But that'd be an interesting conversation. Now I'm definitely.
They'd have to find a way of corrupting the files that are already out there. I mean, because there's AR receivers that are out there, there's pistols that are out there. I mean, there's so many different firearms that are out there that you could 3D print.
And even if you removed everything today, you'd have to also wipe everybody's mind, because they could just start from zero tomorrow and have it done in some amount of time. And if you wiped it all again the day after tomorrow, it would take them another day to put it all back together, right? Like, you can't just expect people to forget stuff that's, and you can't take I don't know. I guess you can't say that because people don't go around making guns, and anybody could make a gun out of any piece of metal if they really wanted to. Just nobody bothers. So anyway, one of the other ways to look at that, we're talking about that because of Banshee's video, I guess. But I'm just going to go off on a different tangent that has nothing to do with it at all, actually. I think with that, we'll end it, because I keep trying to end it so there's a little time before Locked and Loaded shows up. But that's it. We'll be back to pick you up later. Does anybody know where that comes from? Anybody watching Soldier Systems today? Maybe DJ's old enough to know about this, but the rest of y'all may not be. So if I go over to this thing, And right, this is this. You're used to seeing this wide monitor. And then if I go to here, and then if I go to here and type in soldier systems, you get to this. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this.
These kids are having a fabulous time with Mr. Microphone, the cordless microphone that actually puts your voice on the radio. There are no attaching wires, so you're free to fool around. Broadcast over any FM car radio. Hey, good looking. That's a big up later. Professional entertainers use Mr. Microphone for rehearsing. I got one. I got one. I got one. And I love it. It's practical and great fun for the whole family. And it's only $14.88. Mr. Microphone, buy 2 or 3, they really make great Christmas gifts.
The Mr. Microphone. So I went around my whole life saying, I'll be back to pick you up later. Because of that damn commercial brainwashed us. That's what programming is. Programming. All right. But barbecue and G23, I have no idea what we're talking about. This was back in the days of a television, which was sounded like a monitor that you hooked up to the air. And then the air electricities would hit your monitor wire, and then pictures would come out. Kind of like YouTube, except from like 3 YouTube channels only. And those YouTube channels were like NBC and stuff.
Yep, I remember that. I was born in the '80s.
Okay. And that commercial, as I was reading the comments to it, I guess that commercial played for a long time. I just didn't pay attention to TV for most of the 90s, but I guess that commercial, they didn't buy a new commercial. They just played that commercial all the time. And I'm pretty sure the Mr. Microphone only changed in price, right?
Well, if we go for another minute and 12 seconds, we'll hit 223. So should we just hold off for another minute?
Oh, I think the answer to that is self-evident.
Absolutely.
Right.
Barbecue is going to petition for 222 because technically that's also a caliber.
You could say that, but I think 223 would be better.
So yeah, we got about 45 seconds. I'll try to click it off. I did that earlier, trying to think I was getting to 10 minutes, but it turned out because of all the glitches, it subtracts all your glitches from the overall. I mean, it makes sense. But anyway, I thought I clicked it after 10 minutes, and then I go back and watch the video. It was like 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So it was like 2 minutes. All right, well, again, thanks for everybody for showing up. We will now end it at the appropriate timestamp, 2 hours, 22 minutes, or no, 2 hours and 23 minutes. And I'll try to hit it right on the zeros. Go watch Locked and Loaded. We'll drop a link right now in the description, or wait, in the text chat, so you can go watch it. Thanks for watching.